All right, this video is for anyone wanting to get SDL3 up and running on Windows using Visual Studio Code. Important distinction to make here. I am using Visual Studio Code, not Visual Studio 2022. Visual Studio 2022 is like a one-stop shop, fully featured integrated development environment. It's an IDE. It's got a compiler, it's got a debugger, it's got all kinds of other fancy tools to help you develop things. And while it might seem free to use, and technically is, if you were to make more than $1 million in a year, or if you had more than 250 developers on your team, which you're probably making more than $1 million a year, if you have that many people on your team, then you're supposed to be paying for Visual Studio. And there's some pricing here, standard and monthly, that you can see. I'm not saying you can't make $1 million being a developer using this product. However, that is something that can happen. So that would influence people to use Visual Studio Code. One of the reasons. The other reason being, or one of the many other reasons, there's actually a ton of reasons, but one of the other reasons being that Visual Studio Code has no price attached to it, but also it's super customizable. You can make Visual Studio Code look like other IDEs if you really want to. So that's what we'll be using today. It's, again, the free option. Now, because we're not using this fully featured IDE like we would if we had Visual Studio 2022, we actually need a compiler in order to make things. And so here's a little list of what we need today. We need a compiler, which we're going to be using the GNU compiler. We need Visual Studio Code. We need SDL3. And we need an example project to get that working. If you have any of these already, I imagine quite a few people watching this probably already have these two. Feel free to skip to a later part to where we get to SDL3. Otherwise, stick around and we'll go through all of these steps. First thing we need is a compiler. Now, I actually had one, but I uninstalled it. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to type in CMD to bring up a command prompt. Now, if you don't know if you have the GNU compiler installed, you can bring up a command prompt and type in GCC. If you see this message, GCC is not recognized as an internal or external command, that means that it's not linked up in your computer and or you don't have it installed. If you do see something along the lines of fatal error, that means that it's actually running. You've got the compiler working already, and you can skip over to just downloading Visual Studio or to the SDL3 section. Cool. So we need to get a compiler. I need one on my PC. And where I'm going to go is to MinGW W64. This is also linked below, by the way. This is a kind of collection of tools along with a compiler that we can use to develop. And it's free to use. Now I'm going to go to Downloads, Pre-built tool chains. And then I'm going to go down. You can see here in this middle column, GCC, MinGW W64. GCC version is on the left, MinGW version on the right. Which, by the way, this W64 is significant. This means that it's 64-bit and will support 64-bit. The tools will all support 64-bit operating systems. There's a version I used to recommend to people, this one, but that you'll find on SourceForge. This will not be linked below. I don't think you should use this. Not to mention SourceForge is kind of like it's not deprecated, but it's definitely not the popular site. GitHub is what everyone's using nowadays. But this version only has 32-bit support, so we're not going to be using this version. Just be cautious of that if somebody ever recommends that, or if you see a video on that. Doing what we're doing here will get you 64. So I'm going to go down to where it says W64 Dev Kit. This has the most recent version of both. And it's here, you can see installation. We can go to the GitHub. This is all the stuff that comes with it. You get a debugger, you get your compiler, and that's really all we need. Oh, and the CMake build tools. Go to GitHub. And on this page, I'm going to click this 2.3.0. This is what we want. If you're not sure what to get, don't worry. It is a little, I guess, intimidating right out the gate because there's not a lot of stuff here to go with. You want these EXEs. I want this one right here, I believe. X64. Yes, X64. This is what we want. Cool. And you can see here the x86 release. This is something important. This is why we read, people. x86 release is Windows XP compatible. We're much past that. So this is what you would want if you were on a very old system. Cool. We've downloaded that. I'm going to go ahead, open that up. Come here, my downloads, and it's an EXE. I see it's an EXE. It's probably an EXE. I can see it says 7Z. It's like 7 zip. So this is probably an EXE that'll just, it's an executable that'll essentially unzip a folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. More info, run anyway. And I'm going to extract it. I can extract it here. It's portable. This is important to know. You can just take this file it'll extract and basically put it anywhere. I'm going to put it on my C drive because that's how I like to keep my development stuff nice and consistent and all close together. So here's what we need. This is essentially our compiler and everything in it. I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag and drop it somewhere into my C drive for me. Put it wherever you want. Really, it's not that significant. What's important is you remember where you put it. So I'm going to put it on my C drive. Cool. Here it is. It's installed. However, if I go back to that command prompt, type in GCC. Oh, well, now I have, it probably won't say this for you. It says it for me because I still have the environment variable set. But if it doesn't say this for you, it's because we haven't set up our environment variable. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Down here, search. I'm going to type in enviro. Open this up. And this system properties at the bottom here, we have environment variables. Okay, let me show you how to do that one more time because I kind of ran past it. I typed in enviro in the search, and down here it says edit the system environment variables. That's what I clicked. Then I'm going to go to environment variables. And under system variables down here, I'm going to go to path, hit edit. And then this is essentially where we need to have our path to our compiler. So that compiler is here within our W64 dev kit. So go into that folder wherever you dragged and dropped it, or if you kept it in the same place. And we want to go into this bin folder and copy this address. Now, I already have this. I can see it right here. But if you don't, I'll just show you what it's like to put it in. I'm going to delete that. If you don't have it, hit new, paste in that address, and hit enter. And that's it. Hit OK, hit OK, hit OK. And your compiler should be installed. However, we want to check that. I'm going to open up that command prompt again. Please note, if this was already open, you have to close and reopen it in order for it to refresh. I'm going to type in GCC. You should see this message now. Fatal error. Awesome. That means that it's pretty much ready to go. So our compiler is good. That's one step down. Next one we have to do is install Visual Studio. Super easy install. This is the website. Click download for Windows. It's your basic Windows installer. Just hit yes, 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 yes. Next, install it wherever you want, and you're good to go. I already have it installed, so I'm going to open it now. It might not look exactly like this if you already, if you're opening it for the first time. But generally speaking, we have a file explorer here on the left, some various tabs on the far left there, and then this is like our main area where we're going to be developing within. So let's go ahead and let's just start our project now. I'm going to go to open folder, And I'm going to make a folder where I'm going to have my project. So I'm going to put it on my F drive, put it wherever you want. I'm going to go new folder. I'm going to call this trying out SDL. Open this up, hit select folder. And essentially this is my project. Everything that I put in this over here on this left side is being put inside that directory that I just created, that folder. So let's make, now that we have our compiler, we've got Visual Studio, let's make our first C program. Might be your first C program. It's definitely not mine. Main.c. And I'm going to go include stdio.h. Don't worry if you don't know any of this stuff. That's perfectly fine. But if you basically follow along with what I'm doing, you can make sure your project works, or that your compiler is working with Visual Studio. Cool. Let's make a classic first program. Hello world. Cool. Oh, excuse me. There we go. And to compile here, to start a compilation, we can hit F5. And it brings up this this little menu here. If you see this option for C++, GDB, GDB is the debugger that came bundled with our compiler. So it's asking for our debugger. We're going to choose GDB. And then here it's selecting a configuration. We're going to be using GCC. That's the GNU compiler we just downloaded. Cool. We have an issue here. Oh, classic. I didn't put a type for my main function. It should, because I'm returning a 0, let's make it an int. That should fix it. I'm going to Control S to make sure that that is saved. And then I'm going to hit F5 again. Do the same process. And now within our debug console, we should see hello world. Inferior process exited normally. Yeah, we exited with code 0, so we exited right. I'm not seeing it here. I do see the command. Maybe I'm just blind. Usually it'll come up here. Oh, it actually appeared in our terminal. Sometimes it appears only in the debug console if you hit F5 the way I did. But it's actually showing up in the terminal. Now, because we're going to be using an external library, I think it's best to know how to link a library using the terminal. And that's what we will do when we download SDL3. Before we do that, we need to know how to compile a program or compile a file and make an executable from it using the terminal. So instead of just hitting F5 and clicking GDB and then C++, I'm actually going to do it from here. So let me type clear. And now this is already in our project directory. We're exactly where we need to be. Well, in order to compile using our new compiler, I'm going to type in GCC, which is the command, and then main.c is the file I want to make. Now, you can see when we hit F5 earlier, we have main.c, and we also have this main.exe. This is the executable file that was created. If we don't put a name here for what we want, essentially what we want our executable to be named, there's a default one that will be created. So I'm just going to hit enter right here. GCC main.c, and you get a.exe. That's kind of the default name. So if you want to have a specific name, I'm going to go ahead and delete both of these executables real quick. Yes. Yes. And what I'm going to do is name my executable this time. And the way we do that is with a flag -o. So I have that GCC main.c -o. Now whatever comes after this is essentially what it's going to be named. I'm going to name this. Let's call it, we'll just call it trying, we'll call it main.exe. Main.exe. And there it is, main.exe. Now we compiled it, but we didn't run it. When we hit F5 earlier, it did both of those things. Now, in order for us to do that, we're going to do it also from the terminal. We're going to type // It could be either or. I'm going to do the one that's easiest for my pinky to reach. And then I'm going to type in main.exe. That's the executable we just created. Hit enter, and there's hello world. I'm going to put some new lines after this, \ns. And then save it. I'm going to GCC main-o main.exe. This will override the main.exe that's already there. And I'm going to run it, and we should see hello world with some new lines after. And there it is. Fantastic. Compiler's up and running. We've got Visual Studio up and running. Finally, we get to download SDL3 and get that working. So I'm going to minimize this. We don't need this right now. I can close this. This is the SDL Wiki. Now, you can't download SDL from the wiki. We want to do it from the Git repo. So at the top right here, we have Git repo. I'm going to open that up in a new tab. And then from here, you can actually click, I think you can go straight to SDL3, but I'm going to do it the way I know how, the way I've always done it. Go here, libsdl-org, and then you go to pin to SDL. And we're going to go to releases at the bottom right here. So this is the most modern, or I believe this is the most modern stable release of SDL that's been put out there, 3.2.16. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to download the SDL3 Devil 3.2.16 min-gw zip. Min-gw, again, being the toolchain that we downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and open up that folder. And it's a zip file, so I'm going to unzip it, and I'll extract it right here. I'm not going to keep it here, though. Something that's really important is to be organized with your files. And for me, I delete everything in my downloads folder eventually. So I'm going to put this in a permanent place where I think I will put it on the same drive I have my project, on my F drive. I'm going to right click here, go new, folder, and I'm just going to call this SDL. Easy. Once I essentially fill this with everything that I need, I can move this wherever I want. The process of linking might be a little different later, but I can move this to any part of my PC. It'll be fine. So in that extracted folder, the one that that's in our downloads, I'm going to go into that, and then into the folder that's within that. I'm going to drag and drop everything in here into that newly made SDL folder, that permanent folder. Put that in there. I can go ahead and close up that extracted folder. And now in this permanent folder, we're going to keep this up because we're going to come back to this a few times in order to make sure we know how to properly link our library. So I'm going to put this off to the side, go back into Visual Studio, and we want an SDL3 project. We want something to test and make sure that we have SDL3 already working. This video is not meant to show you how to use SDL3. That is a later video to come, later few videos to come. This video is strictly for showing you how to get it up and running. So to find a project, the SDL Wiki has a bunch of wonderful projects on it that show you the power of SDL3. On this wiki, I'm going to go to, I'm going to scroll down, and there's other sources of information. Hit tutorials. Under tutorials, I'm going to go to this examples link. And here we go. Bunch of examples, bunch of really handy ones. There's two we're going to try out today. We're going to do probably the simplest one, which is this clear one. And then we'll jump over to Wooden-Eye 008 to see some 3D action. So I'm going to start here with clear. And all this does is it opens a window and it cycles these colors. It's really pretty. And what I love about SDL is how powerful it is. It makes things really easy. Look how little code there is to open a window and to draw those colors. Super cool. I'm going to copy this, go back into that main.c file. I'm going to delete everything in there and paste in this project. I'm going to save it, Control S. Always remember to save regularly. You can also go File, Save. And now I'm going to try compiling it. Just, why not? Let's try it. I'm going to clear, because I like having a clear terminal. I'm going to compile this. Again, to compile, GCC, main.c, -o, main.exe. Hit enter. Ooh, fatal error. SDL3, this SDL.h file. There's no such file in our directory. And sure enough, there is not. You can see very clearly. And so essentially this include right here is setting off our preprocessor. It's going, hey, dude, yeah, this file's not here. You got to find it. And we have it. We just downloaded it. And we put it in this permanent folder here. Here is that SDL folder. And I'm going to be making a 64-bit program. That's going to be in this x86 64 file here. This is what we'll be working in. If you make a 32-bit application, this is what you want over here. This i686 W64. I know the naming is a little misleading. Some people see x86 and think immediately 32-bit, but this is like an architectural thing. x86 64. This is 64-bit for us. It also says that in the install. Just heads up. Cool. So we need to essentially link our compiler over to wherever this file is. And we know where it's at. It's in this include folder. Again, go into my 64-bit version. And I'm going to go into include. And then remember, this said SDL3, and then SDL.h. SDL3 is this folder. If I go into it, boom, that's exactly what we need. So I need to have this root, or not root, but this include folder. This is the path I need to have. So I'm going to copy this address. And then down here, I'm going to type out that GCC main.c-o, all of that stuff. And then we need to use the flag -I for include. I'm going to make a space, quotes, and then I'm going to paste in that address. Just like that, and then I end quotes. If I hit enter now, all of a sudden, we don't get the same error. It sees our header file. However, all of these various functions that are being used have undefined references. And that's because we're not done with our linker. We need to set up our linker. To do that, we need to have, we need to include our library files. We can do that with -L. And then just like we did here where we had some kind of path to a folder, we're going to do the same thing here for our L, but we need our library files. If we go back to whatever version, again, 64-bit or 32, I'm over here in 64. We go back to this folder. I want to go into our lib folder and put this path right after that -L. I'm going to copy address, come down here, open quotes, paste in that new link, or that new path, and then close that up. If I pressed enter right now, nothing would really change. Same stuff. It's because we're not done. We need to define a file within our linker's input, essentially the binary, not the binary, this dll.a file right here. This A file, we need to go ahead and define this within our linker's input. And the way we do that is by typing in -L SDL3. Just so you know, this is kind of a lesson in linking a library right now. -L, this flag, is essentially getting rid of the lib and the dll.a. All of that is getting essentially bundled into this little -L, and then SDL3 is what we're actually writing. Now, if I hit enter now, we compile. Everything seems to be fine. That's probably not something that should have happened, but I'll explain why in a second. Let's go ahead and let's try running it. Let's go /main.exe. Ooh, nothing happened. I don't see any window popping up. Remember, this should have opened a window. Seems to be an issue. I think, and I suspect, that it's because we haven't put our DLL into this directory, where our executable is. A DLL, by the way, being kind of like the linking file for our dynamic library. So I'm going to go and put that in our directory. The way we do that is by going to our bin folder. Again, I'm in my 64-bit file, into my bin folder. And then I want to essentially copy and paste this into my file directory. Now, I believe if I just drag it over, it does copy it. Cool. There we go. That's now in there, and that should be the final step. Let's try it again. We're going to go GCC. By the way I'm typing these so fast is I'm hitting up on my arrow key. GCC, main.c-o, main.exe, all this various stuff. It works. Now let's try going ahead and launching that exe. So main.exe. Boom. We have it, ladies and gentlemen. SDL3 is up and running. If I hit escape, that'll go ahead and close the window. Oh, or not. I have to do it manually. Huh, okay. And then now what we can do is let's go ahead and let's test that more demanding project. It's got a lot more code to it. I'm just going to delete everything in my main file, my main.c file. And I'm going to go back, scroll all the way down to where I see Woodeneye 008. Go to the source code. I'm going to copy all this. See, it's quite a bit more. And that's because, excuse me, this is essentially emulating 3D. Hit copy. Come back over here. Paste that in. Save. Control S, or file save again. And from here, we're going to do that same process. Go compile, and then run. And ladies and gentlemen, we have it. I am moving my character with WASD and using my mouse to look around, and it's running at a beautiful 680 frames per second. It's SDL's, that's it. SDL's up and ready to go, dudes. It's pretty straightforward. From this point on, it's just no matter what, whether you're on Visual Studio Code or whether you're on Visual Studio 2022, development is the same from this point on. Awesome. If you have any questions or if I made a mistake or if something's wrong, I'll try to get back to you guys in the comments. But thank you for watching.